doing the water routine. So clearly what we're doing here today is for health, right? At least that's what I thought. Now I'm going to show you right now, as I tend to do basically myself. So this is my morning routine, even though there's nobody in here at this time watching. And I'm going to clean the water. Now, this whole journey started with trying to figure out, let's just say the whole journey started with a whole lot of pain. That's what it started with. And didn't expect things to go the direction that they have. But it's funny how the directions go in life when you're going through certain things. Now that's a carbon distiller. We're going to clean the water. This is the water that I cleaned last night. So I'm going to go ahead and harvest this and put it in here. So I'm going to do my normal breakfast routine, show you guys how obviously I was able to improve my health. Some people could say, I guess, transform your health. Now, the thing that I did not expect, there are certain things that I did not expect to happen while on this journey. I typically don't talk about them. The funny thing is the reason I didn't talk about them was because I didn't expect certain things to happen at all. They weren't even remotely in the back of my mind where I'm thinking, oh, this cleaning water and trying to eat cleaner, and especially the hydrogen. I didn't expect it to do certain things in my life. Now, the reason that I was thinking, let's say considering, and by the way, this carbon distiller is, if you don't know, I mean, I do it on my channel often. This is how you clean your water, guys. And when I say clean your water, I mean, I'm talking about clean it to the highest degree. And it's actually kind of spiritual. I say spiritual because no water filter cleans water like this, and yet it's the best way. Interestingly enough, when there's ancient scriptures that either talk about cleaning water this way, like, for example, when they say something like, God created the heavens and the earth or something. Well, how does earth clean the water? Guess what? It does it through distillation. And interestingly enough, that's the cleanest water. And the water, it's just interesting that it's basically mimicking nature. Same thing with the hydrogen. There's places throughout the world, a place like Lourdes, France is probably one of the more famous ones. And that also has molecular hydrogen in it. And it's supposed to be healing waters that are obviously very special. And obviously we're able to mimic that with technology too. What I did not expect, and by the way, so as I go here, you guys are welcome to ask any questions. Today, I'm thinking about doing things a little different. I mean, I'm going to continue to just do my breakfast. And by the way, this is the nutritional powder that I use. This is to make sure, see, the human body really has a lot of things that are constructed or built into it, clearly. And I try to support the nature of the human body. So basically the way that things were already quote unquote intended to be, or were designed to be. So the human body requires certain nutrients, and then we studied it, we did the science, and the science basically shows that when you have deficiencies in these things, it leads to disease. So it's as simple as trying to overcome deficiencies. That's where I had to get kind of creative based on, products out there. This is just raw cacao. And what I did not expect is anything spiritual to happen. I always tend to shy away and not try to talk about this subject, but the interesting thing is that I've actually been noticing other people starting to have eerily similar things. And I actually have what I would call really quite a wonderful testimonial. And I'm so it was so interesting that I thought, you know what? I'm starting to wonder if I really should actually talk about this. Like I said, I've tried to shy away from it because, people always say, don't talk about religion and politics. Now, for me, this is not actually about religion. That's my own personal opinion. And, religion and politics, right, are things that people should stay away from, according to, I don't know, the majority. Now, me personally, I mean, I actually have no real issues talking about it. I don't even have an issue agreeing to disagree, because there's a lot of people who are going to disagree on things. But people get so weird about it and fight so much about it that I'm just like, I just stay away from it. By the way, I'm going flax seeds, anti-cancerous, super good fibers and omegas. Really, really good for you based on the data as far as the way that the human body responds to it. So that's why I put it in there. And so today, I guess, again, you guys can comment below because it would help me. It would help me if you guys commented and basically if you guys were to say, yeah, we want to hear more about that, or no, I'd rather just, learn how to make these, what helped you change as far as your health. And if that's what people really want, then I'll just stick to that. That's easy for me. Um, but I'm realizing that this is starting to happen to other people too, is what kind of started making me think that maybe I need to touch on this. Some of it sounds, I don't like to get into things that sound too foo-foo and like not real. And that's why I always kind of was like, nah. And by the way, I'm a skeptic. I hope people understand this. I'm a major, major skeptic. So that's why when things happen that are more on the spiritual side, I tend to be like, nah, that's just, nah. Like, it takes a lot to convince me. It really takes a lot to convince me. However, things have been happening actually for years. And the way that hydrogen has been seeming to affect this whole process is really kind of shocking me, actually. But I keep trying to, I think I keep trying to shy away from it, actually. And anyway, I think I'm starting to think, I'm not going to say I'm 100% of this. And I'm thinking about doing a video. This is just my live videos where I do my morning routine and whatnot. I'm thinking about doing an actual video sharing this one person's, and there's been more than one, but this one particular person's testimonial in regards to the effects that I mean, I don't know if he even thought it was the hydrogen. I think he wrote me yesterday, and it was, honestly, it was quite profound and quite beautiful, and I just couldn't believe it. And I thought, you know what? Should I share this? I mean, should I share this with the audience? Is this something that, you know, people either want to know, or is it going to be kind of a turnoff for people? And they're like, don't really want to hear about that stuff. You know what I mean? But that's kind of why I'm kind of quote unquote testing the waters a little bit. I don't mind sticking to the health stuff. I just personally, I just want people to be happy. That's kind of like, believe it or not, that's actually one of the highest things on my list as far as desires that I have in my life. Everybody has different desires. Some people want to be rich and have huge houses, and maybe some people want to start businesses. Some people want to have kids, and some people want to be teachers or whatever. Everybody has whatever desire that they might have, their deepest desire. And mine, for a very, very long time, since I was actually a child, it was kind of funny. I got a funny story about it that I've never shared with you guys. That really, whoops, I guess I need my apron. I just really wanted happiness for others. I never thought about why. I guess I'm only assuming it was just kind of an instinctual thing, right? Aren't children like that in general, though? Don't they want everybody to be happy? And, they don't want to see people sad. Kind of like dogs. Dogs probably like to see you happy, and they don't want to see you sad, right? And yeah, so I just always wanted happiness for others. That's actually a huge reason why I do this channel, is because I realized through my own experience that happiness had a lot to do with health. Why? Because when I lost my health, I was not happy. In fact, I was absolutely miserable. It was terrible. I mean, just the worst. And and being able to learn a lot about these things, my heart really had to get in it. And because if my heart's not in something, guys, just so you know, it's extremely hard for me to do something that's just not in my heart. Some people are really good at faking things or even doing things that are not in their heart. I have a major, major problem in regards to doing things that are just not in my heart, or at least learning about it. Like, I'm really good at learning, and I'm really good at figuring things out. In fact, it's funny. I had a company, one of the companies um, that I do stuff with. It was the blender company, and they were the guy was the owner was so shocked some of the stuff that I figured out in regards to that blender. And after all these years, nobody ever did, and it was kind of hilarious. Like, really, all these years, not one person? I think I figured it out in one day. Um, and it says, "Good morning, Eva." Oh, hey, Eva. Appreciate you, says Demon Daniels. Thank you, guys. That's very kind of you. And Eva, I'm so glad you guys are doing well, and that your husband is being very supportive of your health journey. I think that's wonderful. So I think that's great. You had written some messages I saw this morning, and I haven't got around to them. And let's see, Helen says, "Hello, Greg. This is my first day making my smoothie with the Vitamix. A much bigger blender than the NutriBullet. Watching closely to help me with the adjusted amounts of ingredients." All right, all right. And today I'm actually doing the Vitamix. Now, I should tell you, I learned something yesterday. So these are organic blueberries. I learned that the Vitamix had a lawsuit in regards to the blades in the Vitamix, and I was a little surprised about that. I had no idea about it. Just found out. Apparently, sometimes the blades on these can break, and people have been known to swallow them. And now remember, I'm not making any claims or against any product or any medical claims either today. But I think some of the people died, and there were some lawsuits. So that made me feel like, whoa, I've been pretty lucky. These blades on mine have been okay. But it might be something worth watching. Like, if you ever hear something, or if you check the blades when you're pouring the smoothie, something along those lines. You just never know. My vacuum blender, which is awesome, apparently appears to have a little sensor. It's got a heat sensor so that it doesn't overheat. And they just got a new batch of blenders, and that one that I got was from the new batch, and they literally never had an issue. And the new batch, they think maybe has this issue. Now, everything's under warranty and everything, so it's fine. And they've been extremely kind and attentive, so that's really awesome. How much ginger are we gonna put in here today is my question. So that's why I'm back to the Vitamix. But the good news is that the company is going to. The good news is that they're already making a unit or some type of what's the word I'm looking for? Some type of kit so that you can use a vacuum blender on the Vitamix also. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get one of those too to show you guys how to not only use it, but because I want to try it out too. So that's going to be cool. So that'll be coming up in the future. But as of right now, we're doing it old school, guys. You know what? I feel like I can't roll up these sleeves. Oh, you know why? Because they're buttoned. So let's see here. So Eva says, "Oh, thank you." And so I guess, again, let me know what subjects you guys would like to talk about today. I don't like to go on about subjects that are not of interest to you guys. And if you have questions, like you were asking about the amount, I don't know, that looks like, I don't know, it looks like a cup, but that's just, what I'm gauging here. Let's go with ginger, organic ginger. This is about how much I'm putting today. This is a pretty decent chunk today. So I would have never expected this journey, this health journey, to really turn into something spiritual. And please, I mean, seriously, I really hope that somebody says, you know what, prefer to just know about health, and then I'll totally drop it. But this guy who, here, I'll tell you a little bit about the person who wrote me this testimonial. And by the way, like I said, this is not the only one. That's why this one was just, I don't know. I mean, even my story is part of it. But as you guys maybe know, I tend to try not to talk about it. Why? Well, you know, you know what it is. Why don't I want to talk about it? Let's see here. It's not so much for the fear of judgment. I mean, people can think whatever they want to think. I'm not particularly concerned with that part. I think the reason that I don't like to go into it is because people get upset, and then people start arguing. And I don't think that's positive. And I feel like, personally, this is how weird it may sound. I feel like the answers that maybe people seek might actually be simpler than what people realize. You know, I think that kind of like health. It's funny how many people tell you something different. It's unbelievable online. It's so confusing. At some point, you're like, well, who in the heck am I supposed to listen to? Because I went through that when I was trying to figure out my health. And that's why I eventually, honestly, stopped listening to all these different YouTubers and different, even doctors, just stopped listening to all these people because because they're all contradicting each other. And I was like, I'm going to make my own decisions based on one, data, and just what I think makes sense. That's why with the water thing, there's a lot of people who say carbon distilled water is no good. They're afraid of it. They say it's no good. It's going to do all this terrible stuff to you. But like I said, not only that's how nature does it, that's what my plants like the most. And it's the cleanest. That's the biggest thing. That was the one where I'm like, you know what? How can the cleanest water be the worst? I just want all these chemicals. I want everything out of my water. And I love clean water. It just tastes so good. All right, let's see here. What are we gonna do? I'm thinking about pouring a little hydrogen. Let's go with the natto first. I was even thinking about putting some of these beet leaves. In fact, let's see here. So let's see here. Eva says, can you talk about the benefits of hydrogen water baths, and is there any in the USA? Well, Eva, that's a good question. Now, first of all, when you say the benefits of hydrogen water baths, let me just tell you something. There is no data to show that hydrogen water baths that really show a lot about hydrogen water baths. The data is mostly on hydrogen water as far as drinking it. The data is mostly on hydrogen gas inhalation. There have been doing hydrogen IVs, and that's most of where the data is, consolidated. Now, the interesting part about this, so it's good that you bring this up. The interesting part about it is that the hydrogen water was not what everybody thought was going to be the best. Everybody thought, now when I say everybody, I'm talking about the scientists, who were doing the research. Because by the way, you get way more hydrogen gas when you inhale as compared to drinking it. So everybody just literally just assumed, they're like, you know what? Inhalation is the bombity bomb, it's the best. And, we're going to go with that. There was even a machine that the Japanese built. It was pretty expensive. They actually have a few that were pretty spendy, and they focus mostly on the gas. And they were good machines as far as reliability and more than anything, the purity. The hydrogen was good. Now, as the research progressed, it got to a point where they realized, let's see here, I'm trying to see. We're going to have, okay, let's do this. Okay, what shocked everybody, when I say everybody, I'm talking about all the scientists, what absolutely stunned them, and you know what? Stunned me too. However, I should have known better, and I'll tell you why in a second. Because you got to follow nature. I believe that nature has so many answers for us, and it clearly does. I mean, everything that we practically, we learn so much about even just medicine from nature. All this food, look at this, all this food's coming from nature, you know. And this is a magical bean called natto. If you guys haven't seen this before, this is actually not just the enzyme that a lot of people are going crazy over. This is the actual raw food form. Natto, yes, it has nattokinase or nattokinase, however you want to pronounce that. And so what they discovered ultimately in these scientific studies were that the hydrogen water, was actually outperforming the hydrogen gas by quite a bit. And by the way, to activate it, you got to stir the natto. If you guys want to know the health benefits of natto, I can tell you. So basically, so here we go, right? Activating the natto. So the hydrogen water outperformed the gas, which nobody understands why, by the way. No scientist understands why. Because there's way less hydrogen in the water, but yet they were able to see it. And doesn't mean that there's not effects. So there's different effects, a little bit different effects from the water as the gas. They have some similarities. Same thing with the IVs. And as far as the baths are concerned, I'm going to kind of assume the same thing, that there's certain benefits to it that might be different. The issue is, well, first of all, there has been no hydrogen baths, or that at least with hot water, that have been discovered in the world. Just so you guys know. What I will say is they've tried to make these machines for hydrogen baths, and look, my personal opinion is, don't waste your money. And why don't we waste our money? Because I got one that was really expensive. It was like, I don't remember, $4,000 or $5,000, and they're not good enough. And let me tell you why they're not good enough. Because if you have a device, look at the Hydrofix. Look how much it has, 1.5 liters in it, and it takes half an hour to fully saturate it. What kind of machine are you going to need to do that to a gigantic tub of water? You're going to need some heavy duty equipment. And on top of it, what you probably don't understand is that the temperature of the matter changes everything. So when the temperature of the water, and look at this thing just activating and foaming up, if you can see it, it's obviously transforming right in front of my eyes. When you try to do the hydrogen to water that's hotter, the hydrogen is leaving even faster, which means that you're trying to pump it in there and it's just leaving way too quickly. And so the kind of equipment that you need, look, I do have some, okay, I probably shouldn't say too much about this. I'm going to tell you guys that I have some secret inside information that I got crazy lucky to be able to discover this. I am not at liberty to tell you what it is, unfortunately, because it's a secret, and I'm not at liberty to say it. And if I was to say it, certain people probably wouldn't be very happy with me, and then I probably won't get any more of that information later. But I'll tell you what I can tell you. That equipment to make proper hydrogen baths, like really, like really something that would actually be realistic, something that you could actually use, something that would actually work. That's the better one. Something that would actually work. That type of equipment would be extremely expensive. And it would practically be, it'd have to be specially made. So just so you guys know. Now in the future, I believe there'll be technologies that can be developed, but for right now, don't even bother wasting your money because they're expensive, and in my personal opinion, they're gonna work. All right, let's fill this up with some hydrogen water. You guys need to see how much water I put in here. I don't know if you do, but somebody's watching this to learn how much. I don't know if let's see here. So you can see how much I'm putting. You can see the water level. I'm going, it's rising right about, probably right there. So moving on. And let's see here. So Anil says, one needs Jesus, not H2, for spiritual growth. Well, Anil, and this is why I don't talk about it, my friend. Because everybody's got their opinions, and then everybody gets weird when their opinion is not the one that maybe others are going to try to talk about. Now, which kind of makes me feel like I probably shouldn't get into it. But I will tell you, there are very interesting verses in Scripture. In fact, you know what? I could share one with you if you guys want, because I basically think it's describing hydrogen, which is very interesting. I won't go into how some of these things happen because they are, quote unquote, you could call them spiritual in nature. But like I said, I try to stay away from the foo-foo stuff. Just try to stay away from it. Too foo-foo. I'm more of a facts guy. As you guys probably know, right? You guys probably know that, you know. But I mean, I'll tell you this one guy who wrote me this amazing testimonial. It's actually, I think he's either Christian or Catholic. I can't remember. I think he believes in, I didn't really ask him a lot about it, actually. I didn't ask him about believing in Jesus or not. But I'll tell you one thing. What's been happening to him lately is, it's remarkable. It really is remarkable. I'm actually extremely happy for him because he's had a really rough time in his life, and for some reason he could never get on the right track. You know, I'll even tell you something weird. You guys want to hear something weird? Maybe I shouldn't say it either. Okay, I'll just share a little bit, I guess. I'm starting to think that hydrogen's good luck because the things that have been happening lately, not just to me, but like to this guy, it almost seems to bring luck. I mean, is that weird? I mean, does it have a frequency? I mean, remember, whole universe, like if you go out to the cosmos, like out to outer space, the majority of everything out there is hydrogen. Hydrogen, the composition of it's like, I believe it's almost 80% hydrogen, something around that. I mean, it's a very large number. It's the most abundant thing in the entire cosmos. I mean, the light of our world is made of it. I mean, the sun made of hydrogen. The planet's mostly water, as you guys probably well know. The majority of water is made of hydrogen. And as you probably know, I think a lot of things in life are about learning or observing what's already around us. So, because again, if quote unquote God created the heavens and the earth, then everything that we learn about the earth, that means that he created those springs. He created the hydrogen springs. He created the hydrogen water that has this amazing impact on the human body, which is, I don't know, I think pretty remarkable. And so we're just trying to learn, about these things. And sometimes people want to look at things in a very one-dimensional manner. And that's okay, everybody can do what they would want to do. Like I said, I just didn't expect to have any. I'm actually going to be doing a podcast today in about, let's see here, a little over an hour. So maybe I should just, because I think this is going to be the subject we're going to be talking about. I'm definitely going to be sharing some of these testimonials because, well, I've been actually on the fence about it. I'm not sure. I'm not going to say 100% that I'm going to share them for sure, but I just find it interesting. I mean, wouldn't you find it interesting? Why in the world would hydrogen, like, for example, inspire people? That's pretty cool. It's like, what? Why is it inspiring me somehow? I think personally, cleaning your blood, cleaning the body is something that is extremely important, personally. I never thought it was in the past. I didn't think it made a difference. Ask most people, they'll probably tell you the same thing, like, it makes no difference. It doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter if you eat a Twinkie or a hot dog or whatever. It has nothing to do, but you know what? It has everything to do, at least in my opinion, with clarity. The more that I clean my blood, the more that probably affects even my brain, all the nutrients. I mean, they're even discovering, now this is like people with mental health. There's some pretty new discoveries linking them to certain nutritional deficiencies, as I've been kind of saying from the beginning even of this video. Like, nutritional deficiencies is such a basic thing, even in the world of science, that I don't understand why doctors, I mean, if you go to the doctor's office and you're complaining of something, in my personal opinion, depending on what it is, of course, one of the first things that they should check for is specific nutritional deficiencies, because to try to wrap your mind around what a nutritional deficiency really kind of is or how it affects you, is think of a house or a car. Like, think of a house, and let's say there's a blueprint on how the house is supposed to be built. Now, we're talking about the world's most perfect house. That's my opinion, right? Because the human body is just a masterpiece, and whoever designed it clearly knew what the heck they were doing, right? And so, if the blueprint says, well, we need this many shingles for the roof, we need this many beams for whatever, and you need all these different things. Well, when you don't have them, like, oh, you know what, we needed 50 shingles, but we actually only have 40 of them. Well, you may not notice, but then eventually, maybe there's a storm, maybe there's, I don't know, something that happens and the roof starts leaking, And nutritional deficiencies are like that. You don't have all the pieces or the amounts that you need of the construct, which is your body. And then it's not at 100%, And so, let's see here. Hope I'm not boring you guys to death. Let's see here. Wow, a lot of comments. Thanks, Greg, for letting me see the amounts. Much appreciated. You're welcome. Shame people can't be open-minded. I agree. Eva says, I watched the Japanese doctors who created the hydrogen machine and also the doctor who talks about the autophagy, Yoshinori Oshumi. They both say it has a whitening effect on your skin. That hydrogen has a whitening effect on the skin? Is that what you're saying? That's interesting. I mean, I've never heard whitening effect, unless you're talking about hydrogen peroxide. That will definitely make your skin white. It's almost like almost like kind of bleaching it. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I do think, I know that I know the baths would be good. I mean, of course, look, just so you know, one of the reasons, and I can't go into too much of the details, but what I'll tell you is one of the reasons that I'm setting up to move. This is the reason that it's one of the reasons I don't own just about anything. I own very, very little things. I don't really have any big ticket items, I don't have a house. I don't really own a car. I do have a really old, beat up vehicle that, if I just literally threw it away, it wouldn't be too big of a deal. It's pretty old. And yeah, but I'm grateful for it. In fact, I just had to repair it a couple times. And, but yeah, the reason is because goes back to, gosh, I'm really trying to kind of walk away from this, but it really goes back to the spiritual side of things. In my life, I knew I could feel it inside of me. I could feel that there was something. It's almost like I didn't feel satisfied. And I was trying to figure out, what exactly do I really want to do, with my life? Because, I didn't really I didn't even try to bother buying fancy things or even trying to make a lot of money, because, take a job that would just basically steal my soul. I didn't even bother doing that, because I just knew that there was a direction that I wanted to go, but I just never knew what direction that was. I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do or what I was supposed to do, but I knew there was something I had to do, and I just didn't know what it was. Well, since the hydrogen, I have figured out exactly what I want to do now. And that's a good feeling. But now it's a matter of carrying it out. And I won't tell you exactly what it is, but what I can tell you is that it has a lot to do with water. And interestingly enough, not to get, again, this is not religious, but there are ancient, see, the ancient scriptures have a lot of knowledge. I know people will just look at them and be like, oh, it's all about Jesus. It's like, well, there was a lot of stuff written before Jesus. And I understand the argument. I know what they teach. But, and not to get too weird about all that, but what I can tell you is there's like a lot of interesting, very interesting, beautiful scriptural writings in a lot of ancient books, not just the ones that we know of in the Bible, by the way, also the ones that were eliminated from the canon. There's just all sorts of interesting writings. And one of them is, it says, and the voice of God is like the sound of many waters. Almost like a connection between ultimately what some might call the Almighty and water. And the one thing I will tell you, and like I said, I'm not going to tell you too much, because I'm probably going to open up another channel for this. That's going to be, this is obviously more of a health channel, and I want people to be healthy. I want people to be happy, and so I'll try to help in any way I can. But because there's so many, anyway, I personally think just not the greatest information out there. So anyway, but what I've really realized, and I guess I won't go into how I realized either because that gets kind of foo-foo, but is that I have to follow the waters. That I have to follow, as strange as it may sound, water. So that's the reason, that's what guided me to figure out exactly not only where I need to go, because I didn't really know exactly where am I supposed to go then, where am I supposed to be and what am I supposed to do? And it has a lot to do with water. And, it's something that I'm very grateful for. Like, again, the fact that we can have equipment, this is something that I believe that, quote unquote, whatever you believe in, by the way, but whatever God or whatever you believe in, or nature, the way that it designed water to be is actually quite remarkable, because the one thing about water is it can be purified over and over and over again through the process of the hydrologic system that is built within nature. And it's amazing how dirty you can get it. And no matter how dirty you get it, even with radioactive contaminants, you can totally clean it through the power or the process or the nature of the hydrologic system, which is basically what we're kind of mimicking. By the way, here's my hydrogen chia seeds. What we're basically mimicking with some of this equipment. So like my carbon distillers, that's basically what it's doing. That's why it cleans the water so well. Not a normal filter, not a carbon filter. And a lot of these filters, I don't even know where they're being made. I would only assume China, so I'm starting to be weary of that, though the one I use is from America. But okay, let's put some more hydrogen water in this. And I think I'm going to let's throw in one more banana. In fact, here, let me just do this. This one's a little greener. And then I'll read all your guys' comments. I know you guys have probably been commenting, and I'm only reading a few. And then, of course, if you have any questions, I'll get to those. But yeah, I think treating the body, or again, what some ancient scriptures call the temple, the Buddhists definitely got this one. They very much understand. Not all of them these days, though, but the old school ones, they really, really try to take care of the body. They really try to care about what they eat. They try to be kind. See, that's the biggest thing. The real teaching is all about kindness and love. Even Jesus, that was his main teaching. In fact, when they asked Jesus, and they said, hey, what's the most important teaching of all the teachings? Or, if you could simplify it for us. And ironically, he didn't say, well, guys, the most important thing is that you give 10% to the church and that you accept me as your Lord and Savior. Actually, he didn't say that. That's what's funny. What did Jesus say? For people who probably don't know, he said, love one another. That is the most important thing. Love one another as I have loved you. And see, that's what I think is wonderful. I think we just have to be good to one another. It's not just about, that's a very simple belief system. But, it's not just a belief system for me. It's something that I want to put into action. And that's the difference. You can believe something all you want, but there's a difference between believing that maybe even the fruits and vegetables are good for you, but just not actually eating them. You know, you got to put it into action at some point. All right, this is going to be noisy. And then I'm going to grab the jars and let's see if this thing will actually blend. Let's hope it does. Wow, not totally blending here. Let's give it a second. Let things settle in. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. That's what we're looking for. I think this blender is noisier. I think it's either noisier. The power seems to be about the same. So some of these nutrients, let some of that settle. Today's gonna be nice because I get a big smoothie today again. Boy, that thing's dancing around. Okay, let's take out the compost while it stops everything up. So we'll go ahead and let that blend for a little bit. I guess I need to be more cautious now watching the blades, make sure it doesn't chop up through anything. Maybe that's when you put hard things in there like ice or something, I don't know. Something. All right. All right, we're gonna get a little hydrogen water in these jars and then put some nutrients in there and then we'll enjoy our smoothie. All right, let's add a little hydrogen water. I like to put a little bit in my jars because then it mixes in with the smoothie, helps absorption, helps move the blood, open up the ghost vessels, so that we can get all the nutrients everywhere. The magic's in the blood, really. You just gotta sometimes bring the magic to it. This right here is a real special ingredient that we absolutely have to have. This one right here. Super important. I'm sure you guys can guess what it is. This is a nutrient that you almost can't get from food. And you guys, if you know me, I always want to get everything from food because the data and the science shows that that's best, and that's nature for you. Let's see here. Oh boy, this thing is splashing everywhere. Can you believe that? What happened? Let's see what happened. Oh, the top's coming off. Oh, did I put too much in here? Oh no. No, I mean, let's see here. Okay, let's try one more time, though I made a mess now. All right, let's try this. All right, let's try to wipe some of it up. All right, I think that's good. Okay, we got a few magic ingredients. And when I say magic, magical for your health. And it all has to do, wow, this one came out looking good. Though the color is different, if you notice. It is darker, I think, when we make it with this one. I like the way it pours. The other one doesn't really pour as smooth as this one. You know, I gotta say, they just both have their pluses and minuses. Still tastes good. I mean, not quite as good as the vacuum blender, but okay. It's good. All right, let's go with this one. Ionic D3 with K2. Ionic is the second best way. Obviously, food is the best. The food that has vitamin D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The food that has vitamin D is just unfortunately so highly contaminated these days. It's so sad that that's happened, but that's the way it is, right? What do? That's the world we're living in right now. Okay, next one, ionic chlorophyll. This is the reason we do all this, to try to keep ourselves healthy in a quote unquote toxic world. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wonderful. Chlorophyll you pretty much can get from your rich green leafy greens, but wow, this thing gets real smooth today. I didn't expect it to be this smooth. Look at this. Wow, it is very smooth. That's the difference between this blades and the other blades. Either way, I'm happy though. Lots of fruits and vegetables. Feels good on the body. Okay, so this one, I was gonna vacuum seal it, but I think it's gonna be consumed probably pretty soon, so I guess I don't need to do that. And I have 2 more magic ingredients, and then we can read the comments. We can chat a little bit before I have to go and do this podcast today. Let's see here. Wow, I guess I don't have a ton of time. That's okay. This is one of the magic ingredients, hemp hearts. This thing's like a multivitamin all by itself. It is literally the most well-balanced omegas in the world. People is like, protein, protein. You don't realize that your protein needs to be well-balanced. Omega-3s and 6s. But on top of all that, even more than just the protein and the omegas, it has so many amazing different nutrients. Magnesium, copper, zinc. I mean, it's like a multivitamin all by itself. This is why I get them. And ironically, it comes from the marijuana plant. Or hemp. I mean, it's come from the hemp plant. I mean, that's kind of the same family, I guess you could say. It's amazing, huh? All right, let's go ahead and sit down. I'm going to enjoy this. And then we'll chat, see what you guys want to chat about. I always try to lean towards whatever you guys want to talk about, not what I want to talk about. And since you got me here live for free, I'll answer your questions for free. No need for a phone call or anything. Excuse me. All right, it was so cold this morning. I got this heat pack strapped to me, but now things are starting to warm up. Plus, I got my carbon distiller going. That thing tends to heat things up. Ooh, I'm actually kind of excited about. Here's my last ingredient. Is my hydrogen. Remember, I would not inhale. There's different types of machines, and some of them you actually don't want to drink the water or inhale when you're eating or, whatnot. A lot of them I just wouldn't use, period, but just saying. Okay, I don't want people to hurt themselves out there. Okay, let's see here. Tastes good. Okay, let's read through all your comments, guys. There's a lot of them. Okay, dude, are you New Age believers? Dude, are you New Age believers? I don't even know what that means, but okay. Have you ever used any other type of beet? No red beets at my farm. I'm using orange one today. I have, and you can. Remember, I just get what I can get. But I like the red ones for some reason. So, I don't know. But yeah, just use what you got. It's come out good today. And Neil says, for spiritual growth, and then I think Ray Keller retracted something. Helen says, thanks, Greg, for letting me see. Oh, yeah, the amounts. Shame people can't be open-minded. Terry retracted something. Eva says, I guess I have to go to Japan or Mexico to get that experience. Yeah, but inhaling and drinking the water, I honestly think it's enough, because the things that have been happening are proving that, in my opinion. And I did without Octavio. Yeah, that'd be wonderful. He sounds like a great man. Northern Yeti says, what I have found, the closer you get to truth, no matter what the topic, the less you care about others' opinions. I'm with you there. If someone's opinion upsets you, it's because you aren't confident that you are correct. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a lot of truth in that Northern Yeti. That's why I just don't talk about it, because if I do, people get upset. And then everybody wants to tell you what they believe, and they're like, oh no, only Jesus saves, or only Buddha saves, or whatever, Muhammad, all the different beliefs out there. Which is fine, I don't get upset about it. What podcast are you going to do, Greg? Actually, yeah, Terry, you may really like this one, because I think they are going to go into some of these topics. But I don't know the name of the show. I know the name of the person, but not the show. Let me see if I can find it real quick so you can check it out if you want to. Of course, I don't think it's going to be live, so that's my guess. Let's see here. Did I find it? Maybe. I think I might have. Heal and learn. Heal and then just the letter N and learn. All at one word. Heal and learn. I think that's, let me see if that's
Helen Hansel was
her channel here. Heal and learn. This is going to be very interesting. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Northern Yeti says, hi, Terry. Northern Yeti says, I'm going to have to take my hydrogen to Vegas. I'm noticing you hate Twinkies. What? I love Twinkies. You kidding? Twinkies and Ho-Hos. I don't even know what those are, but I think maybe I know what they are. They are always the first unhealthy food you mention. What should I say? Coca-Cola or what? I mean, isn't that like the most well-known Twinkies? No? My friends still recall, because they just commented about it the other day, how I would grab these Twinkies and open them and just shove them in my mouth and eat them. And then they're like, dude, that's not very good for you. And I'd grab another one. And I just kept doing it. And I love those things. But yeah, I don't do that anymore. Ella says, no, they said the hydrogen water? I think I'm missing it. Terry C says Twinkie Bloods, not good. And Terry says, is hydrogen like the Holy Spirit? Well, I'll tell you the scriptural verse, and you decide for yourself. But the way that the scriptures refer to hydrogen is as the Spirit of God. So literally God's Spirit, which is, I think, a pretty big deal. Maybe that's why it's having such an impact. Terry C says, it's fascinating that all the water on the planet has always been here. Yep, just getting recycled, because you can clean it over and over and over. And then you can constantly divide it. You can make so many drops, probably infinite. Eva Moreno says, his name is Shigeo Ota. Yeah, I know him. The one who created the hydrogen machine in Japan, us in YouTube. Shigeo Ota doesn't create the hydrogen machines, just so you know. Shigeo Ota wasn't even a hydrogen specialist. They taunt him as that, but actually, he was a mitochondrial specialist. So he discovered the impact of hydrogen on the mitochondria. And that's where he became kind of fascinated by it. It may shock you to know that there are specialists in Japan way higher than him. I mean, one thing that surprised me about him is he takes those silly, well, I don't know, I think he's getting something out of it personally, but he takes the pills. And I don't think he probably uses those regularly, because I've seen the lab report of what's in those things. And I'll tell you one thing, if he ever saw that lab report, he wouldn't take them. Because there was a toxicologist who saw the lab report also. And they were like, whatever this is, because they didn't even know what it was. They said, whatever this is, I definitely wouldn't take it. And I'm like, yeah, neither would I. Okay, moving on. Let's see. It's very delicious today. F. Acosta says, it's noisier, but as long as the blades don't break. Oh, it is noisier. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. It better not break a blade. That could kill me. All right. Eva says, I'm just kind of upset at myself because I've known about you for years and I just ignored my husband saying, now I regret it. Well, it's never, well, I would say it's never too late to change, but I don't know, maybe sometimes, I don't know about that one, but I think you're doing all right now, right? Because of me, my daughter Abby would not do it either. So now that I'm doing your protocol, she's becoming interested. I'm so happy. Oh, good for you. I hope you enjoy it. Did you read the part that says I was in Lourdes, France? Um, I thought I read the part that said that you would have to go there or Mexico. That's what I thought you said. I'm sorry, Greg, I asked too many questions. That's okay, Eva. No problem. Terry C says, thanks, Greg. I know the one you have been on there before. Okay, good. Northern Yeti says, I used to smash on zebra cakes. I used to smash on zebra cakes. Glad those days are over. I could eat a whole box. What's a zebra cake? Let's look it up. Never seen that before. Zebra cake. That just looks like cake with stripes on it. What is zebra cake? Little Debbie. They're called Little Debbies. Cakes have been a staple of pastries since the 1960s. Classic snack, blah, blah, blah. Little Debbie's, huh? Yeah, okay. So see, next time, see, that's going to be a problem. Oh, see? Northern Yeti says, yep. Now, see, if I'm talking about junk food and I say, well, guys, you're going to go, if you want to go smash some Little Debbie's or Little Zebra Cakes or whatever, those are multiple syllables rather than just saying Twinkies. And everybody knows what a Twinkie is. I don't know if everybody knows what a little zebra is or whatever. Little zebras. Dude, I smashed on Little Zebra. They'd be like, what are you talking about? If I say Coca-Cola and Twinkies, Dude, let's go smash some zebra. Some zebras. I don't know, is there any nicknames for Twinkies? Let's see. Nicknames for Twinkies. Maybe Twinkie funny names. What's a nickname for a Twinkie? They don't have a lot of nicknames. They're just called, some people call them Twinkers. Like tweakers. Twinkers and Twinkies and what? Twinkians? Anyway, yeah, there's clearly just Twinkies. Okay. Let's go smash some Twinkies. All right, let's see here. Terry says, I had to look up that Twinkie, what a Twinkie was, because I'm British. Oh, we don't have any Twinkies here. I had to go smash me some zebra cakes. Let's see, what's a good pastry in the UK? Let's see. Junk food names from the UK. Let's go smash us some Twinkies. Some tater tots. Tater tots. How about some Vimto? Vimto. I've never heard of that one. Vimto? Let's go smash some Vimto. Custard from a carton. I can't do my very British accent, obviously. How about some Walkers? Walkers? Well, they got some wonky things over there. See, Terry does know that one. She goes, that's a drink. She's right. It's like soda pop. Let's get to some skips. See all this stuff from the UK. Boy, none of us know these ones, right? They got one called Ernbra. Let's get some Ernbra, some wagon wheels. Wagon wheels. Those look like those zebra cakes you're talking about. Toasted hot cross buns covered in butter. Yuck. They got a, oh my gosh, they got a pastry named after me. Greg's sausage rolls. Did you know about that, Terry C? Greg's sausage rolls. Let's go smash some sausage rolls. Boy, there's a lot of junk food over there. Well, granted, I say a lot. I'm looking at all these pictures. I feel like I'm almost breaking out just looking at some of these pictures. It's crazy. Boy, some of these actually I used to make. I used to have this like, and it doesn't matter, but this sandwich machine. Anyway. Yep, Greg's sausage vegan rolls. Vegan rolls? They don't look vegan. They look like they have some pork in there. Potato chips, shortbread, and chyme. Okay, let's see. Eva says, can I ask you something? You don't have to respond, but what was your heart problem or condition you had? So, ironically, the cardiologist, they did a ton of tests. And my heart would do things like, so it would beat, you know, and then it would like stop. And I've had it just stop, you know, for, you know, whatever amount of time. And then it would boom, 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 and then it'd start again. And then it would flutter. And it was kind of all over the place. And I didn't really, you know, this gets kind of weird, but for people, I guess for the people who are sticking around today, I believe that what most likely happened was I damaged my heart myself by accident. Well, not by accident. This is, I think you guys know, we've talked about it all. I tried to end my life multiple times throughout my life. And the very last one, because I kept failing and I was poisoning myself every time, hoping that I would go to sleep and not wake up. But somehow I kept surviving. And so I was like, you know what, this is ridiculous. I was not very happy about that. So I said, I need to do something ridiculously extreme to, ooh, it's weird. I need to do something so extreme that nobody could survive. That's what I was thinking. And by the way, you know, yeah, anyway. And I will say this is definitely, I definitely hope nobody tries such things. And what I thought nobody could survive was I got these like Costco bottles of pills, and they say how much is in there. So I knew that if I would finish a whole bottle, they would have 500 pills. And I consumed just shy of 1,000 pills. It was around 836 pills. And you know how the labels always say, don't drink alcohol with pills. So I thought, okay, that must mean it's not good for you, or it'll hurt you, or it'll kill you. So I did that on top of it, right? Which is probably not very good. And I kept taking these handfuls of them. I was in a lot of pain emotionally for a very long time. And that's something that I think, back to the hydrogen again, you know, it's weird that it would have an impact on such a thing. And so anyway, I did that, and then that was, you know, really extreme. Well, eventually, I did that at like, I don't know, midnight, because I didn't want anybody to find me. I just wanted to be found. If they're gonna find me, I wanted it to be the next day, and I was already gone, was my hope. Instead, I was found around, I think 6 in the morning, and I was just out laying on the bathroom floor. And I was taken to the hospital, the emergency room. And, you know, they basically said it was too late. They said, look, he took all this stuff like 7 hours ago, roughly. And so there's just nothing we can do, but we can pump his stomach if you want. There's not going to be anything in there probably. And they put a tube down my throat and not just pump my stomach, but more than anything, they poured activated charcoal into my stomach to try to absorb any poison or toxin. And then I was taken to a room, and that's where some of the weird spiritual things happened on that day also. I've had some weird things happen to me in my life, even though I'm such a skeptic. And yet these things have happened anyway. The reason that I'm bringing all this up is because when the doctor came in and I was just in there alone, he just said, "Hey, can I have a word with you?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "It says here that you took like 836 pills. And they were a combination. There was like Tylenol and ibuprofen and Excedrin. There's all these pills, different ones. And this brings up memories. I told him he was wondering if that amount was correct, and I said, "Yeah, it's correct." And then that's when he told me. He said, "Yeah, I don't believe you." And I thought it was kind of weird that he said that. I was like, "Okay," like I didn't even care. I was like, "Okay, you don't believe me, that's fine." But he kept pressing. He goes, I really prefer the truth, and I'd like to know what you really did so that we can try to do something about it." And I said, "I already told you." And I kept noticing that he just wasn't really believing this whole thing, and I kind of got curious. And I said, and by the way, I'm not telling you this story because I'm telling you this story because it has everything to do with my heart, which is why you asked, Eva. I asked the doctor, I said, "Look, out of curiosity, what would happen if you took that much? Took everything that I took, what would happen?" He said, "Well, first of all, that'd be impossible because there's no way you'd be alive right now." And I was kind of curious. I'm like, "Well, yeah, well, what would happen to someone?" And he said, it's funny, right now the clock says 11:11. He said, "Your heart would explode." He said, your heart wouldn't be able to take what you did to your body." So anyway, I obviously survived the ordeal. And I think it was a month, I don't remember, on some checkup or something, they noticed that my heart wasn't beating right. And that was the very first time that had happened. My heart was always fine. And I think basically I most likely damaged my heart. So there was some type of damage. But when I went to the cardiologist many years later, by the way, this was a long time ago. This was when I was, much younger. And when I finally got insurance, and I thought, you know what? And doctors commented on my heart all the time. Every time I would see a nurse or a doctor and they would listen to it, it was just every time. They're like, "Hey, your heart's like totally out of whack. Have you seen someone about it?" And I was like, yeah. Like I didn't care because, I don't know, if it was gonna take me out, it was gonna take me out. And I just didn't worry about it. And then once I had insurance though, to really have it thoroughly checked and it wasn't gonna cost me an arm and a leg, I thought, you know what? Okay. So I went to the cardiologist and they started doing, echocardiograms, stress tests. All sorts of, the whole thing. I got a specialist and they just went all out, and they could see my heart in vivo, in imaging. They could see it, beating and how it would be all screwed up. And the doctor told me, he said, "Look, you don't have a lot of time." He said, you maybe have 10 years. And this was, how long ago was this? I don't remember, but it was years ago. This was, gosh, I don't know. I'm just gonna say roughly a little less than 10 years ago. I think this was 8 or 9 years ago. I don't remember. And the doctor said, "Look, this is gonna end your life, because what it's doing is it's straining your heart. Your heart's not working right, and it's straining it. So it's kind of like having a little tiny car pulling a giant trailer. You're wearing the thing out." And I was like, "All right." He said, "You probably need open heart surgery. We can start doing more testing, and we'll start scheduling." And I was like, okay, I was going through the process, but in my mind, I was thinking I wasn't really sure that I was actually going to go through with it because I didn't really want to get cut open and break my rib. I just didn't want to go through it. And obviously, I discovered hydrogen, and I was really sick. I had all these other issues too, on top of the heart issue, you know. And then, you know, it's funny. I tried other hydrogen machines, and that heart condition persisted. And I'm not kidding you. It wasn't until I tried the Hydrofix. The Hydrofix, and then of course, it took somewhere in the neighborhood of, it was like 4 to 6 months, and the condition just vanished. When I went to the cardiologist again, because they were doing more testing to see exactly what the surgery was gonna entail, basically. And that's when they were like, whoa, what just happened? Something just happened because your heart condition just disappeared. And I had had that condition for, well, decades. I'd had it for a long time. Just disappeared. Nobody ever knew. Now my heart sounds perfect. No issues. So that's what I can tell you, Eva, you know, to answer your question. All right. So let's see. Terry says, poor thing. So sorry, Greg, you felt like that. Hate to think of anyone suffering such pain. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of people out there though, right? Who suffer, who try to take their own lives, who are unhappy, you know, lots of stuff. Eva says, oh, Greg, that's so sad. You're going to make us cry. You're going to make me cry. I'll make myself cry just by thinking and remembering all this. I felt the same way before, but not anymore. I'm so glad you don't feel that way anymore. I'm glad God didn't take you and kept you here. Well, you know, if I were to get into the spiritual talk, and then Terry says, me too. You're doing God's work and he's using you mighty. Your story is amazing, says Helen. Bless your heart. Yeah, I mean, this is all, it's all part of it. It has been, you know, it's been a strange journey. It really has been a strange one. So I'm almost done here, but I'm gonna have a little more smoothie. So I'm almost, you know, if you guys have any last things, I'll be right back. All right. And so, in the end, do I think there's something to hydrogen? Yes. Remember though, this is my personal opinion, the purity of things makes them work better. And I believe makes things more spiritual. Spirituality, what's that famous saying where they say cleanliness is next to godliness? Purity and really clean things I have found not only to help me a great deal, but I didn't expect it to affect me again in a spiritual way. So it's kind of, you know, let's see. Yeva says, yes, it did. I really appreciate you and all your knowledge. Oh, you're welcome. Well, I gotta tell you, I believe a lot of this knowledge, the hydrogen is helping me, because that's the part that I don't go into the whole spiritual part, which maybe we'll talk about it today a little bit, because I'll have to go here soon. It's just amazing what it's done to my brain, because the things that I can figure out, things that I would have never been interested in the past, I don't know, it's doing something to me. And that's why this guy who wrote the testimonial, who it's also doing something for him. And it's just so wild, you know. And then Northern Yeti says, we need to hear your story about your experience that you had a witness for someday. The one you started on that podcast before the dude started playing on his phone and you guys stopped. Yeah, that one was a really, that's actually the biggest one of them all. That's gonna, dude, if I really got into that one, it's so nuts that even for a skeptic like me, the reason that I couldn't deny it, which I tried to, is because eventually I found the exact same thing that happened to me in here. And as you know, and it was actually of all the people, it was Jesus in here talking about the same exact thing. I was like, what? That blew my mind. It's like, the best analogy is like, let's say you were to go out to the Himalayas, I don't know, somewhere really remote, and you start like digging and you find a little flying saucer or something, and you're like, geez, nobody, I don't know, nobody would ever believe me. And maybe you got your buddy with you, and then you find a book that's like 2,000 years old or more, and it says exact same things. Hey, we were in the Himalayas and we found this object, and it's like, what? Are you kidding me? Somebody else found this before? Something like that. I don't know. It's such a wild story. But I know I can't get into it right now because I don't have the time. And then Helen says, blessed are the pure in heart, they shall see God. Wow. Probably shouldn't go down. I actually have a response to that, but I'm not sure if I should go into it today. Let's see. Eva says, you will and are blessed greatly by our Lord Jesus Christ. Yeah, it was funny that, I don't know, there's just a lot of funny stories. I'll try to make this one extremely brief, because that day in the hospital, I shared it, I think, once. When I was in the hospital bed and I was laying there, there was like multiple beings of light, in that room with me. And I remember almost trying to ignore them because I kept thinking that can't be real. There's no way they're there. And they kept repeating something too, like in unison. So there's, multiple of them, and they would speak with like one voice. And it was almost like they were trying to, I don't want to say program me or brainwash, because that seems very negative, but they were trying to do something where they kept saying, because I was already planning my next move. I was already planning when I would get out of the hospital and when I would again attempt to, end myself. And they kept repeating, you'll never do it again. And then I would have these visions of, it's so weird. I could almost see, it's almost like I could see the future. I should probably leave it at that. So pretty wild one. Look at this though. The parts I was telling you about. Look at all the nutrients. And super well balanced omegas 3s and 6s and protein. Yeah, pretty awesome stuff. All right. Let's see. I should probably get going soon and get ready. Okay, let's see. It says, Eva says, keep doing what you do, please, and thank you for all the time and effort you put to help others. You're very welcome. Helen says, you entered another dimension on that hospital bed. I was definitely in this dimension. Eva says, okay, now you're breaking my heart. But you are alive and here, so that's right. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and leave it at that for today. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll talk, I'm sure, more. And maybe I'll even get into these weird subjects on this new show that I'll be doing today. So if you guys want to check it out, it's H-E, maybe somebody can write it for everybody else, H-E-A-L, the letter N as in Nancy, and then learn. So heal and learn. And yeah, okay, guys. Till next time. Oh wait, I'll let somebody. I'll wait for somebody to write that down for somebody, or not. You're welcome, Eva. Thank you, Helen. Good day to you guys too. All right.